Surely it has happened to you. You spend hours cleaning, organizing, leaving every corner spotless, and the next day, everything is dirty again. It's frustrating, right? You try hard to keep your home clean, but for some reason, the dirt seems to come back faster than usual, and the worst, without anyone having made an apparent disaster. What many people don't know is that sometimes dirt isn't to blame, but about the way we are cleaning. Yes, there are very common mistakes that, without realizing it, make our house get dirty faster than normal. Today, I am going to reveal to you 10 cleaning mistakes that could be sabotaging your efforts, and how to fix them so your house stays cleaner longer. Stay until the end, because the last mistake, it is the most serious of all, and almost no one realizes it. List? Let's get started. Use the same cloth for everything. One of the most common mistakes when cleaning is using the same cloth or sponge for different surfaces. Maybe you think that rinsing it is enough, but the truth is that you are spreading dirt and bacteria throughout the house without realizing it. Imagine this. You clean the dining room table with a cloth, then you pass it through the kitchen, then the shelves in the living room, and, without thinking about it, you end up using it in the bathroom. What you are doing is moving dust, grease, and even germs from one place to another. The solution is simple. Use different rags or cloths for each area of the house. The ideal is to have one for the kitchen, another for the living room furniture, another for the glass, and one exclusively for the bathroom. It is also important to wash them frequently with hot water and a little vinegar or detergent to prevent them from accumulating bacteria. If you want an even more practical option, you can use microfiber rags since they trap dust better and do not leave residue. You can also opt for disposable wipes for areas like the bathroom, where it is essential to avoid cross-contamination. So, if you were cleaning your entire house with the same cloth, it's time to change this habit. Now let's move on to the next mistake, because if you think that sweeping is the best way to remove dust, you might be surprised to know that you could be making more dirt than you clean. Sweep instead of vacuuming. Many people believe that sweeping is the best way to remove dust and dirt from the floor, but in reality, sweeping may be making your house dirty faster. When you use a broom, instead of collecting dust, many particles remain suspended in the air. And guess what? Within minutes, they settle back onto furniture, shelves, and even places you've already cleaned. If you want to avoid this, the best option is to use a vacuum cleaner. It not only removes dust more effectively, but also prevents it from spreading into the environment. If you don't have a vacuum cleaner, you can opt for a wet microfiber mop, which traps dust instead of lifting it. If you still prefer to sweep, there is a trick. Lightly dampen the broom with a little water, or use a spray bottle with water and vinegar to spray the floor before sweeping. This will prevent the dust from dispersing and make you actually remove it instead of moving it around. So, if after sweeping you feel that the dust comes back too quickly, maybe this is the problem. Now let's move on to the next mistake, because if you use too much cleaning product thinking that this way your house will be cleaner, you might be surprised to know that you could be doing the opposite. If until now you have realized that you make some of these cleaning mistakes, don't worry, you have time to correct them. And if you want more tips and tricks to keep your home spotless effortlessly, subscribe right now. This way you won't miss the best tips to clean faster, more effectively, and without spending more. Hit the button, subscribe, activate the little bell, and now let's continue with the next era. Bucket 3. Using too much cleaning product. Many people believe that the more cleaning product they use, the cleaner the house will be. But the reality is that using too much cleaner can cause surfaces to pick up more dirt and get dirty faster. Because when you over-apply a product such as detergent, multi-purpose cleaner, or disinfectant, many times does not rinse completely. This leaves a sticky layer on furniture, floors, or glass, and that layer attracts dust, grease, and dirt much faster. For example, if you use too much soap when mopping the floor, you will notice that it becomes dull or sticky after it dries, and in a few hours, the dust adheres more easily. The same goes for furniture. If you apply too much polish or cleaner, instead of keeping it clean, dust will accumulate even faster. So what is the correct amount of product? The key is in follow the manufacturer's instructions and use only what is necessary. Many times, a small amount of cleaner diluted in water is enough to clean effectively. It's also important to rinse the surfaces thoroughly with a damp cloth to ensure no residue remains. Another tip is, use vinegar or baking soda as a natural alternative. They do not leave sticky residue and clean deeply without the need to rinse several times. So if you feel that, despite cleaning frequently, the surfaces get dirty very quickly, check to see if you are using more product than necessary. Sometimes less is more. Now let's move on to the next mistake. Because if you use the same sponge for weeks without changing it, you could be spreading bacteria instead of cleaning. Using the same sponge for weeks. Sponges are one of the most used cleaning tools at home. We use them to wash dishes, clean the kitchen, and some people even use them to clean tables and other surfaces. But there is a problem. A dirty sponge can be the object with the most bacteria in your entire home. Think about it well. Sponges are in constant contact with food residue, grease, water, and soap. They are the perfect environment for bacteria like E. coli and Salmonella multiply without control. If you continue using the same sponge for weeks without disinfecting it, what you are actually doing is spreading bacteria instead of cleaning. One study found that a kitchen sponge may contain more bacteria than a toilet seat. Yes, that's how serious it is. And if after washing the dishes you wipe the sponge on the counter, the sink, or the dining room table, you are contaminating everything without realizing it. So what can you do to avoid this? First, change your sponge frequently. The ideal is to renew it every 2 weeks or sooner if you notice a bad smell or decomposition. Second, disinfect the sponge daily. You can do it in several ways. 1. Microwave method. Dampen the sponge and place it in the microwave for 1 minute. The heat will kill most of the bacteria. 2. Vinegar method. Soak the sponge in a bowl of white vinegar for 15 minutes. Then rinse it well with hot water. 3. Boiling water method. Boil water in a pot and place the sponge in it for 5 minutes. This will kill any bacteria or mold present. Additionally, an excellent alternative is use silicone sponges, since they do not retain moisture or bacteria as easily. You can also opt for microfiber cloths, which can be washed in the washing machine regularly. So, if your sponge is already several weeks old and you don't remember the last time you disinfected it, it's time to change it. Now let's move on to the next mistake, because if you clean the surfaces but forget the objects you touch daily, your house could be dirtier than you think. Forgetting to clean the objects you touch daily. There is something that almost everyone forgets when cleaning the house. And it is something that we use constantly. The things we touch every day. Think about this. You grab the remote control, then your cell phone, then you open the door with a handle, you turn on the light with the switch, you use the computer keyboard, and so on, from one object to another. Without realizing it, you are transferring bacteria from one place to another. Many believe that if the house looks tidy and dust-free, it is completely clean. But in reality, these objects can be some of the most contaminated places in the home because no one thinks about disinfecting them frequently. The remote control is a perfect example. Everyone at home touches it, sometimes with dirty hands, sometimes after eating. When was the last time you cleaned it? And the same goes for light switches, door handles, drawer knobs, keyboards, and cell phones. They are areas of constant contact, but they rarely receive a deep cleaning. The solution is simple. Once or twice a week, take a clean cloth with a little vinegar or alcohol and wipe it over these objects. You don't need to spend a lot of time, just a few seconds for each one. But this small action will make a big difference in the cleanliness and hygiene of your home. If you've been cleaning your home without paying attention to these key points, you now know that they can be full of germs without you noticing. It is not enough to clean what looks dirty. We have to clean what we really use. Now let's move on to the next mistake, because if you usually make your bed right after waking up, you could be making a serious mistake without realizing it. 6. Make the bed immediately after wake up. For many people, making the bed is the first step of the day. They get up, straighten the sheets, put the pillows back, and leave everything spotless before leaving the room. But what they don't know is that this could be making their bed dirty faster and inadvertently accumulating mites. When we sleep, our body releases sweat, dead cells, and moisture. All of that gets trapped in the sheets and mattress. If you just wake up, you cover the bed immediately, all you are doing is sealing that moisture inside the sheets and mattress, creating the perfect environment for mites and bacteria to proliferate. If your goal is to keep your bed really clean, the best thing you can do is let it air out for at least 20 to 30 minutes before doing it. This allows moisture to evaporate and fresh air to circulate across the surface of the mattress. The ideal is to open the windows to let air in and, if possible, shake the sheets and pillows a little before arranging them. If you have time, you can fold the sheets back and let the mattress breathe for a few minutes. Then yes, make the bed and leave everything in its place. This simple change to your routine will help reduce the buildup of mites and odors in your mattress, keeping your bed fresher and cleaner for longer. 7. Using the broom in the wrong way. Sweeping is one of the most basic cleaning tasks. Something as simple as taking the broom and running it over the floor to remove accumulated dust and dirt. But what many people don't know is that if you don't do it the right way, you could be making more dirt than you clean. The problem is that when sweeping with force or with quick and sudden movements, you kick dust into the air instead of trapping it. You may see it accumulated on the shovel when you finish, but the reality is that many particles remain floating, and in a few minutes they return to deposit on the furniture, the floor, and any nearby surface. If you've ever felt like everything quickly gets dusty after sweeping, it's because a lot of the dirt it was not collected. It was simply dispersed. To avoid this, there are some techniques that can make sweeping more effective. The first thing is use a broom with fine, soft bristles, since thick and hard bristles tend to raise more dust. The second thing is sweep in slow, controlled movements without lifting the broom too much off the ground. And the third thing is lightly moisten the bristles before sweeping, either with a little water or with a mixture of water and vinegar in a spray bottle. This will make the powder adhere better and not disperse into the air. But the most advisable thing is, if you have the possibility, use a vacuum cleaner instead of a broom. Vacuums deeper prevents dust from floating and keeps the environment cleaner for longer. If you've always felt like dust comes back too quickly after sweeping, you now know that the way you use your broom could be affecting the cleanliness of your home. Change your technique, and you will see the difference. Now let's move on to the next mistake, because if you mop with dirty water, all you are doing is spreading dirt all over the house. So, if until now you made your bed as soon as you woke up, try letting it air out for a few minutes, and you will see the difference. Now let's move on to the next mistake, because if you use the broom the wrong way, you could be making a mess instead of cleaning. 8. Mop with dirty water. Mopping the floor seems like one of the simplest cleaning tasks. You wet the mop, run it over the floor, and that's it. But what many people don't realize is that if you don't change the water frequently enough, you may be spreading dirt instead of removing it. Think about it well. You dip the mop into the bucket of clean water, run it over the floor, and within minutes the water begins to fill with dust, grease, and built-up dirt. Now imagine continuing to mop with that same dirty water throughout the house. Instead of cleaning, you're just spreading that dirt from one place to another. If you've ever noticed that your floor has stains, a sticky feel, or a strange smell after mopping, the problem is likely with the water you used. To avoid this, there is a very simple method. Always change the water in the bucket when you notice that it is cloudy or has residue. Don't wait until it is completely dirty, because at that point, you will have already passed that contaminated water all over the floor. Another effective technique is use 2 buckets instead of 1. One with clean water and detergent, and one with just water to rinse the mop before dipping it into the cleaning mixture again. This way, the cleaning water stays clean for longer and the floor is truly disinfected. It's also important to make sure the mop is well wrung out before running it over the floor. If it's too wet, it will just leave puddles and take a long time to dry, leaving marks and collecting more dirt quickly. If until now you mopped the entire house with the same bucket of water without changing it, try making this small adjustment, and you will notice that your floor will look cleaner and last longer. Now let's move on to the next mistake, because if you are using the duster to remove dust, you may not be really cleaning, but rather moving the dirt from one place to another. 9. Use a duster to remove dust. Many people believe that the duster is the perfect tool for cleaning dust quickly. They dust the furniture, shelves, and decorations and feel that everything has been spotless in a matter of minutes. But there's a problem. The dust doesn't disappear, it just moves from one place to another. When you use a duster, instead of trapping dirt, what you're actually doing is picking it up and dispersing it into the air. And within minutes, those particles fall back onto surfaces in exactly the same place you tried to remove them from. That's why after cleaning, you feel that the dust comes back too quickly. If you really want to remove dust from your house, the best option is to use a slightly damp microfiber cloth. Microfiber traps dust instead of lifting it, and if it's damp, you'll prevent particles from floating into the air. Another great option is to use a mixture of water and fabric softener. You just have to dilute a cap of fabric softener in half a liter of water, spray a little on the cloth, and wipe it over the furniture. Not only will this remove dust, but it will also create an anti-static barrier that will make it take longer to build up. If you've been using a duster for years without noticing improvements, now you know why. Change this method, and you will see that the dust disappears instead of returning each day. Now let's move on to the last mistake, because if you clean without following a logical order, you may be doing double the work without realizing it. 10. Clean without a logical order. It's probably happened to you more than once. You start by cleaning the floor, then you shake the furniture, and at the end you realize that the dust has fallen again on what you had already cleaned. Or you mop the entire house and then realize you forgot to dust the shelves, which makes everything dirty again. Result? You make double the effort and your house is still not spotless. This is one of the most common mistakes when cleaning: not follow a logical order. If you clean without a strategy, you end up dirtying what you had already cleaned and spending more time than necessary. Cleaning professionals always follow a simple but effective method: clean from top to bottom and inside out. This means you should start with the highest areas, such as shelves, lamps, and tall furniture, and then move on to the middle surfaces, such as tables and countertops. Finally, you leave the floor for last, because this way, you collect all the dirt that may have fallen during cleaning. Another key trick is to clean each room following an organized route. Instead of going from one place to another without a plan, start in one corner of the room and work your way in one direction, making sure not to leave anything uncleaned. If you follow this order, you will avoid cleaning the same place twice and will make cleaning faster and more effective. Less effort, better results. If until now you were cleaning without a clear plan, try following this method and you will see how your house stays clean for longer and without so much work. Now let's recap everything we learned today, because these mistakes could be sabotaging your effort without you realizing it. Now you know, if you feel like your house is getting dirty too quickly, the problem may not be the dirt, but the way you are cleaning. From using the same cloth for everything to cleaning without a logical order, there are small mistakes that, without realizing it, cause dust, grease, and dirt to return sooner than expected. But the good news is that all these errors have a solution. Correct these habits, use the appropriate techniques, and you will see that your house will remain clean and tidy for much longer and with less effort. So tell me, which of these mistakes were you making without realizing it? And if you want more tips like these, subscribe right now. Here you will find the best tricks to keep your home spotless without spending hours cleaning. Hit the button subscribe, activate the little bell, and see you in the next video.